All right. So here we are back on step 28 of the Learn Advanced Array Methods by Building a Statistics Calculator course. All right. So our next calculation is the mode, which is the number that appears most often in the list. So to get started, we're going to declare a getMode function that takes the same array parameter that we've been using. Okay. So we'll say const getMode equals array. How about that? And then we'll have the arrow and we'll have the empty object like that. Let's check the code. Looks good. And submit it. All right. Now we're on to step 29. So now we're going to calculate the occurrence that we can use the... what? Pardon me. So to calculate the occurrence, we can use the following approach, okay? So we've got an array right here. We've got const counts equals this, it's this empty object. Then we've got a numbers are, so this thing, dot for each, we've got element. And for the callback function, we're saying if counts at the element, So if counts at the element exists, okay? So if like this object at 1 exists, we'll say counts at the element plus 1, plus equals 1. So we'll add 1 to that to that property. Else, we're going to create the property and add 1 to it. And then we're going to create the property with 1 in it. All right, hopefully that makes sense. So we're going to check if the current number is already in the counts object. If it is, we're going to increment it by 1. If not, we're going to set it to 1. Okay, so that's what that means. The resulting object are going to be the keys. Pardon me. Resulting. I don't know what's going on here. The keys are the numbers from the array, and the values are the number of times each number appears in the list. Okay. So yeah, we've got like the 1 appears 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 2 appears 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Let's go like this. 3 appears 3 times. 4 appears 3 times. And 5 appears 2 times. So for this step, we're going to start by declaring an empty counts object. And later on in the project, we're going to use this object to calculate the mode of the list of numbers. So what if there's 3 that have the same number? Huh? Anyway, whatever. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Start by declaring an empty counts object. All right, that's what we'll do. So const counts equals an empty object like that. All right? And let's cap that off with a semicolon. Check the code. Come on. Should have a counter. Counts. Come on out. Check it. Looks good. And submit it. All right. Now we're on to step 30. So to better understand how the getMode function is going to work, we will need to print out its contents. And this will allow us to see what is happening as we build out the function. But first, we're going to need to return the array so that it can be tested properly. So inside our getMode function, we'll return our array parameter. All right, so we'll say return array. Okay. Check the code. Looks good. And submit it. All right, now we're on to step 31. So inside the calculate function, we have already called the getMean and getMedian functions. Yes, we have. Below those function calls, we're going to add a console.log getMode with the argument of numbers, okay? To see the result, we'll enter the numbers 4425 and click on the calculate button, and then we'll open up the console to see the following array. Okay. So let's do that. Console.log getMode, comma, wait, pardon me. And then numbers. Huh? Do we even have a numbers? We're going to enter the numbers. Oh, over here. 4 comma 4 comma 2 comma 5. Okay, calculate it. Open up the console. 2445. Okay, that's what they were talking about. Check the code. Looks good. And submit it. All right, now we're on to step 32. So inside our getMode function, on the empty line above our return call for each on array. Hold on. What? ChatGPT totally exists while they're making this. Why don't they just run this through ChatGPT and say, does this sentence make sense? Anyway, so let's read it one more time and try to figure out what they're saying. Inside our getMode function, on the empty line above our return call for each on array, that's not a sentence. What is this saying? All right, we're going to ChatGPT. What is this? What? Put this in regular English. Put this in actual English. All right. Inside our getMode function on the empty line above our return statement, we're going to call the for-each method on the array. Our for-each method should have an empty callback function that takes an L parameter. And in the next few steps, we're going to use this loop to count how often each number appears in the array. I'm not crazy, am I? I'm not crazy, am I? That first thing is completely wrong grammatically, right? Let's put a comma there. I don't want to be grammatically wrong myself. Hey, that's what I thought. All right, so let's get back to it. I don't even remember what it said. So inside the getMode function on the empty line above our return statement, we're going to call the for-each method on the array. So we'll call the for-each method on the array right here. Array.forEach. The for-each method should have an empty callback function that takes an L parameter. All right, so let's do L like this with this. All right. Cap that off with a semicolon. In the next few steps, we're going to use this loop to count the frequency of occurrences of each number in the array. All right. Looks like it works. Awesome. Now we're on to step 33. Inside the array.forEach callback function, we're going to check if the current element is inside the counts object. If the element can be found, we're going to increment the value of counts at L by 1. Otherwise, we'll assign the number 1 to counts at L. Counts at the L property. Okay. Then we're going to change our return statement to return counts instead of array. And to test this, we'll enter these numbers and click calculate. And we should see this following this in the console. Okay. So inside the check if the current element is inside the counts object. So if counts at L, we will say counts at L plus equals 1. Else, we will do counts at L equals 1. All right. And then let's test it. So let's put 4425 in the consoles. 4425. Calculate. Open up the console. Okay. If counts at L. Oh yeah, wrap this in parentheses. What am I doing? All right. Let's try it again. 4425. 4 comma 4 comma 2 comma 5. Calculate. 442. Okay, not right. Okay, not right. Return counts. Oh yeah. We're going to return counts. Let's try it again. 4425. 4, 4, 2, 5. Okay, there we go. Great. Check the code, looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 34. So now that we have a better understanding of how the getMode function works, we can remove the console.log getMode argument numbers statement from the calculate function. All right, where's that? Right here? Okay. Yay! Step 35. So returning the counts variable was only for testing purposes. Okay. Now that we are done testing, we're going to remove the return counts line from the getMode function. Okay. All right. Now we're on to 36. So there are a few edge cases to account for when calculating the mode of what? There are a few edge cases to account for when calculating the mode of a data set. First, if every value appears the same number of times, there is no mode. So to calculate this, we're going to use a set. Oh, my bad. To calculate this, we're going to use a set. So a set is a data structure that only allows unique values. If we pass an array into the set constructor, it will remove any duplicate values. So we're going to start by creating an if statement. In the condition, we're going to create a set with new set, with the new set constructor. Okay. And pass it the object.values method of our counts object. If the size property of this set is equal to 1, that tells us every value appears the same number of times. In this case, we're going to return null from our function. Did we already do object.values? Object.values. What? Count.values? Okay. We're going to have to look that up. Object.values. JavaScript. Pardon me. All right, so object.values static method returns an array of a given object's own enumerable string keyed property values. Okay, so we've got this. Yeah, I think we did something like this. So if we do object.values of this object 1, it's going to give us some string 42 and false. Okay, so let's come back over here. So let's start by creating an if statement. Let's do that. If we'll create a set. We're going to create a set with new set. So new set. This is the new set constructor. Let's come over here and look that up real quick. Set constructor. There it is. And it's just the set constructor creates a new set. And we just put new set like that and some iterable inside of it. And we're going to pass it the object.values of the counts object. So do object.values inside of here. Object.values of counts. Like that. Okay, so it's whatever counts is, after we do this for each method on it, it's going to count up the values. Okay, cool. If the size property of the set is equal to 1, that tells us the value appears the same amount of times. Every value appears the same number of times. In this case, we'll return null from our function. So if that's the case, okay, hold on. Hold on. What do you want? If this is the case, we're going to return null. Okay, let's just see. If that equals 1, return null. Equals 1, return null. Oh, dot size. Dot size. Okay. All right. So also, size, set.prototype.size. Instead of dot length for sets, we use size. And the size accessor property of set instances returns the number of unique elements in this set. Okay. So if the set objects dot value counts dot size equals 1, we're going to return null. What? What? So if there's only one, so if there's only one thing in there, we're going to return null. I guess that's what they're saying. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea what these fools, I don't know. There's no better thing to say. Whoever wrote this is definitely a little bit touched. Honestly, they probably work a little too hard on coding and not a lot on communication. And then whoever edits these and goes over them said, okay, that's good. Stamp it, next, whatever. And submit it. Looks great. Yeah, let's donate to this. Let's donate to this thing that's giving us so much trouble. Yeah, I don't think so. So step 37. Now we need to find the value that occurs with the highest frequency. We're going to use the object.keys method for this. I'm thinking maybe I need to start doing like Udemy or Codecademy or something. Maybe this is actually just really stupid, honestly. At this point, after using this for a couple years, because I'm kind of a guy that's slow on the uptake and I like to give people a chance, but it's been I'd say it's been 2.5 years since I've been using these, and I'm starting to realize that these guys aren't that good at their jobs. Okay, so now we need to find the value that occurs with the highest frequency. We're going to use the object.keys method for this. We'll start by declaring a highest variable and assigning it the value of the counts object. Object.keys method. The counts objects object.keys method. Oh my God. Okay. Right here, we'll do a highest variable. So we'll say const highest. And it's going to have the value of the counts object object.keys method. What is object.keys? Object.keys. All right. The object.keys static method returns an array of a given object's own enumerable key stringed property names. So if we do this, we'll get A, B, and C. Okay. So we're going to do object.keys counts. Is that possible? Okay. Honestly, I don't even know what's going on right now. I don't even have a clue what's going on right now. I don't have a clue what's going on right now. And I'm reading this to you. I'm trying to make a video out of this. I got no idea what this is, what's happening right now. How is this the highest? What is this? The highest object.keys that counts. So it's going to give us like, isn't this going to be like an array with all the keys and the counts? How is that the highest? I don't know. Maybe we'll say dot, whatever's the highest. I don't know. So now we need to sort the values property. We'll chain the sort method to our object.keys call. Okay, so dot sort. All right, dot sort. All right, for the callback, we'll need to use the counts object to compare the values of each key. We can use the A, B parameters. Okay, so we'll do A, B, A comma B, and we'll do A minus B. All right? And then return the value of counts at B. Okay, counts at B minus counts at A. Counts at B minus counts at A. And then finally, we're going to access the first element of the array using bracket notation. Okay, so we're going to do B minus A instead of the usual A minus B, because that's going to make, that's going to put the biggest at the front instead of the smallest as it would be if we did A minus B, all right? So we'll, finally access the first using the, and then we're going to say at 0. All right, so yeah, this will make the highest thing. So this array that's being made of the keys, this will be 0. So like, because we were doing like 4, 4, 5, 2, the 4 will be in the front, but it would be in the front anyway. Whatever. Check the code, looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 39. Oh my God. This is terrible. So if multiple numbers in a series occur at the same highest frequency, they are all considered the mode. Otherwise, the mode is the number that occurs most often. That single number is the mode. Okay, so if a bunch of them have the highest frequency, the largest number is the mode. Okay. What? So they're all the mode. Okay, so all of them. Okay, whatever. So all of them that have the same frequency are the mode. Okay, thankfully we can handle both of these cases at once with the filter method. We'll start by declaring a mode variable and assigning it the value of object.keys with the argument of counts. Okay, so we'll say const mode equals object.keys, and then we'll say counts. Okay. Check the code, looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 40. So now we're going to chain the filter method to our latest object.keys call. The callback function should return whether the value of counts at L is equal to our counts at highest. Okay. Chain this, the filter method. Okay, so we'll say dot filter equals, no. Dot filter, and the callback should return whether the value of counts L. Okay, so we'll say L counts at L, counts at L equals counts at highest. Okay. Let's check the code. Looks good. And submit it. All right. Now on to step 41. So now it's time to return our mode variable. So mode is an array. So we're going to return it as a string with the join method. We'll separate the elements with a comma followed by a space. Okay. So what we will do is we will say mode.join. And then we'll say a comma space like that. And let's cap that off with a semicolon. Check the code. Okay. We're going to return this? Oh, yeah, return it. Have to make it in a riddle. Why not? There we go, and submit it. So now we're on to step 42. We're going to add our getMode function to our calculate logic and update the respective HTML element. Okay. We're going to add this to, okay, so yeah. Right here we'll say const getMode, what? Mode equals getMode numbers. And then we'll do this. We'll take this right here, copy it, drop it, change this to mode, not need a mode, and we'll change this to mode 2. Whoops. Check it. Okay, what? Yeah, we don't put that inside. Check it. Looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 43. So our next calculation is the range, which is the difference between the largest and smallest numbers in the list. Yep. So we previously learned about the global math object. Math has a min method to get the smallest number from a series of numbers, and the max method to get the largest number. So here's an example that gets the smallest number from an array. We've got const numbers are is this array right here, 321. And when we say console.log math.min, and then we have the spread syntax, numbers are, it's going to give us 1, okay? And we got to make sure to have the spread syntax in here to turn this into comma separated values, because this thing doesn't, math.min does not accept arrays, all right? So we're going to declare a getRange function that takes the same array parameter that we've been using. Using math.min, math.max, and the spread syntax, we're going to return the difference between the largest and smallest numbers in the list. Okay. All right. So here we go. We're going to declare a getRange function. So we'll say const getRange that takes the same array parameter. So equals array. And then we'll have this. And using math.min and max, we're going to return the difference between the largest and smallest. Okay, so we'll just say math.max array minus math.min array. All right. Cap that off with a semicolon, and that should take care of it. Let's check the code. Looks good. And submit it. All right. Now we're on to step 44. So now we're going to add the logic for calculating and displaying the range to our function. All right. So let's do that right here. Oh, it was a nice, easy one. So const range equals getRange numbers semicolon, and then we'll take this, copy, paste, get the range, copy, mode, paste, check the code, looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on step 45. So the variance of a series represents how much the data deviates from the mean and can be used to determine how spread out the data are. The variance is calculated in a few steps. We're going to start by declaring a getVariance function that takes an array parameter. Within that function, we'll declare a mean variable and assign it the value of the getMean function, passing array as the argument. Okay. So we'll do getVariance to start with. So we'll say const getVariance equals array with this here. And then we're going to declare a mean variable. So const mean equals getMean array. And I think we're going to push dot in front of it. Or does getMean accept an array? Yeah, never mind. It accepts an array. So just keep it like this. And then semicolon that one up. And that should be cool. Let's check it. Looks good. And submit it. All right. Now we're on to step 46. So the next step is to calculate how far each element is from the mean. We'll declare a difference variable and assign it the value of array.map. And for the callback, we're going to return the value of e minus mean. Okay. Makes sense. We'll say const differences equals, and then we're going to say mean, no. We're going to do array.map, and then we'll say L for the element. We'll have the this right here, and we'll say L minus mean. All right. We'll cap that off with a semicolon, check the code, looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 47. So the next step is to square each of the differences. To square a value, we can use the times operator. For example, 3 times 2 would return 9, of course, because 3 to the power of 2 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Anyway, so we're going to declare a squared difference variable and assign it the value of differences.map. And for the callback, we'll return the value of L squared. Okay. So we'll say const squared differences equals differences dot map, and we'll have L, and then we're going to have that do it's going to return L times 2 like that to square it. And then let's cap this off with a semicolon. Let's check the code. Looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 48. So next we need to take the sum of the squared differences. We'll declare a sum squared differences variable and assign it the value of squared differences dot reduce. For the callback, we're going to return the sum of AC and L. What was the name of this thing? Accumulator and L. It used to be, back a long time ago, it used to be previous and current, but they changed it. So we're going to remember to set the initial value to 0. All right. So let's do that. We'll say const sum squared differences equals squared differences dot reduce. We'll do inside of this set of parentheses, we'll say AC for the accumulator and what was it, L like this for the element, and then we will say AC plus L, and then we'll say initial value of 0 like this, and it's not going to be 2 L's, just 1 L, and then we'll cap it off with a semicolon thusly. So let's check the code. Looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 49. So with 2 map method calls and a reduce call, we're creating extra arrays and iterating more times than needed. We should move all the logic into the reduce call to save time and memory, right? Give me a second. Yeah, and we can do that. So we're going to remove the difference, squared differences, squared differences, and some squared differences variables and their values and declare a variance variable. We're not going to do that yet. We're going to comment this stuff out so we can refer to it. That's the player move. Not just deleting and not being able to look at it. That's ridiculous. All right. So now we're going to declare a variance variable and assign it the value of array.reduce. So we'll say const variance equals array.reduce. All right. I guess we're just going to leave it empty for now. Okay, so let's do AC, comma L, and then we'll do this like this and this. And I guess we're going to have to delete this. If we were going to do the whole thing by ourselves, this would be the player move right here. But since I guess they're going to hold our hand through it, let's just get rid of it. Check the code. Oh yeah. Initial value of 0. So let's have a comma 0 like this. Check it. All right, let's do this. Check it. Okay, there we go. And submit it. All right, now we're on to step 50. So within our empty reduce method callback function, we're going to declare a variable difference and set it to the value of L minus mean. Okay. So we'll say const difference equals L minus mean. Okay. And then we'll declare a squared variable, const squared equals difference times 2 times 2. And then finally, we're going to return ac plus squared. So return ac plus squared. All right, let's go over this. Actually, let's highlight this and copy it, see if it works, and let's go to the next one to see if this thing's going to explain what's going on. So the final step in calculating the variance is to divide the sum of the squared differences by the count of numbers. We're going to divide our reduce method call by the length of array in our variance declaration, and then return variance. What? What? Where's our reduce call? This thing. So we'll say variance divided by array.length. Okay. So no. All of this divided by array.length. And then we'll return variance. Return variance. Check it, looks good, and submit it. Okay, great. Actually, we're gonna go through this because it's stupid not to. All right, so let's do the thing where it says divide it by array.length. And now let's look at what's actually happening. Okay, so we've got this get variance array. All right, so we're doing const mean. We're doing the mean of the array. So whatever the average is. And let's get something with an easy average. Let's have let's act like array equals. And this is just let me comment this out while we're at it. We'll say array equals what has an easy average? Oh yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this all equals 15. 15 divided by 3 is, pardon me, divided by 5 is 3, all right? So this mean is going to be 3. Let's put 3 like that, all right? So const variance, and then we're going to return variance while we're at it. Return variance. All right. So we're doing array.reduce. We're having the accumulator and the element. All right. So const difference is going to be the L minus the mean. So whatever the difference between, we're doing the variance, right? Okay. So the difference per element minus the mean. So on this one, it's going to be -1. Okay, let's say, oh, let's come down here. Let's do this, go to the end, come down here, and do this. All right. So right now, the array, after doing this, the difference is going to be, let's say differences is going to look like this. The differences is going to be L minus mean. So 1 minus 3, we're going to have -2. And then we're going to have -3. Then we're going to have -1. Then we'll have 0. Then we'll have 1. Then we'll have 2. All right. So these are the different differences, okay? And then so the squares are going to be -2 squared is 4, -1 squared is 1, -0 squared is 0, 1, and 4 again. All right? And so we're going to add all these squares together. So when we add them together, let's say the sum is now going to equal, the sum is now going to equal 4 plus 1, so 5 plus 5, so 10. All right, so 10 divided by array.length, so variance is going to equal 2. All right, hopefully that makes sense. Let's actually do a console.log on that and see if I'm right. Console.log get variance of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see what happens. 2. Okay, yeah, so that's what happens. All right, so that's what's going on with that. Let's check the code. Looks good, and submit it. All right, so now we're back on to 52. Let's reset this. So, all right, is 51 divided by 3? Come on now. Come on now. 51 divided by 3 is 17. Okay, so it is a multiple of 3. All right, so now we're going to add our new getVariance function to the calculate function and update the respective HTML elements. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll say const variance equals, and we're going to say getVariance numbers. Okay, and then we'll take this, copy it, drop it, get this, copy it, right here, drop it, right here, drop it. All right, check the code, looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 53. Give me a second. Oh. Whoa. How rough. How rough. Learning is rough. Live streams, live learning is very rough, especially when I'm doing it. Because I am not very nice if I'm not editing my rudeness out. Which is what I did for every single... where are we? Where's Codeman as? Every single one of these 3.3K videos has me editing myself out of being rude, or me doing second and third and fourth takes to where the final product is the one that where I'm actually not being as rude as usual. So yeah, rude boy. So our this is the real me. I'm a real big jerk. You should see my League of Legends. I get banned all the time. So our final calculation is the standard deviation, which is the square root of the variance. Yeah, if these people met me in real life, they get punched in the face. Figuratively speaking, I would never commit a crime. We're going to begin by declaring a getStandardDeviation function with the array parameter. In the function body, we're going to declare a variance variable and assign it the variance of the array. Okay, so we'll say const getStandardDeviation. All right, and that's going to equal array. Like that. In the function body, we're going to declare variance variable. All right, so in here we're going to say const variance and assign it the variance of array. So we'll say const variance, and then we'll do get variance of array, like that. And there we go. And let's check the code. Looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to step 54. So to calculate a root exponent such as this, so the nth root of x, we can use an inverted exponent. So x to the 1 over nth. So we would say like x times, and then in parentheses 1 over n. JavaScript has a built-in math.pow function that can be used to calculate exponents. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know it does. So here's the basic syntax for the math.pow function. We have math.pow, we have base, and then the exponent after a comma. So here's an example of how to calculate the square root of 4. So we'd have const base equals 4, const exponent equals 0.5, which is 1 over 2. And then we're going to return, pardon me, and then we're going to, when we do math.pow base and exponent, it returns 2. All right. Pardon me. So now we're going to declare a standard deviation variable and use the math.pow function to assign it the value of variance to the 1/2 power. Okay. So yeah, let's do that. We'll say const standard deviation equals math.pow, and we'll say variance and then 0.5 like that. And that should be it. Let's are we going to return it? The exponent of 1/2. Okay, whatever. 1/2. Is that what you want? Okay. Big difference. My bad. And submit it. So now we're on to 55, 56, 57, 58. So we're almost done. The math 55, 56, 57, 58. Okay. So the math object has a sort method specifically for finding the square root of a number. Okay. So we'll change our standard deviation variable to use this method instead of math.pow. Math.sort? What the? I never heard of that. Math.sort. Yeah, I never heard of that. Oh, it's square root. I need to get glasses. Yeah, it's square root. Yeah, it's the math.square root method. Yeah, that's how we do it. So we'll say math.square root variance. Math.square root variance. I'm getting old. I'm an old man. All right, there we go, and submit it. And then we're going to return this. All right, so we'll return standard deviation. All right, looks good, and submit it. All right, now we're on to 57. We're going to do what we've been doing before with standard deviation. Drop that. What was it? Standard deviation? Standard deviation. All right. Actually, watch this. Drop it. Now let's take this, copy, drop, and drop. Check it. Looks, come on now. Did I spell it wrong? Get standard deviation. Of course. Get standard deviation. Capital S. Check the code. Looks good. And submit it. All right. Looks like the end of this. There's one last thing to fix. The sort method mutates the array it's called on. It's generally a bad practice to mutate a function parameter, which array is. Very true. To fix this, we're going to add an empty slice call before our sort method. And the empty slice call will make a shallow copy of the array, which we are free to mutate. That is a slick move that I just learned now. So we'll say dot slice. We'll say dot slice like this and dot sort. All right. So array dot slice dot sort. That's a slick move. I like it. Check it. Confetti. Woo! Looks good. And submit it. That's the end of that. Sorry for being so negative. I'm a negative Nancy. I can't help myself. This is who I am. If I could change, well, I'd probably not be doing this stuff. I'd be a millionaire. So anyway, there's that. Now we're on to learn functional programming by building a spreadsheet, and we'll